Ladies, listen closely. If you're over 60 and living in retirement or preparing for it, there is one type of person you should never, ever live with, no matter how much you love them or how guilty they make you feel. This one decision could make the difference between peace and chaos, joy and regret, or even health and illness. I've seen it time and time again, women with golden hearts sacrificing their happiness, and sometimes even their safety, because they didn't realize the cost. So please, watch until the very end. You need to hear this. And while you're here, like this video if you're a strong older woman who values her peace. Leave a comment saying, "My happiness matters," and make sure to subscribe for more wise tips just like this. Part 1, the dangerous dynamic. I need to speak from the heart here. This is something I wish someone had warned me about 20 years ago. So I'm going to be brutally honest with you, not to scare you, but to protect you. If you're over 60 and someone asks if they can move in with you just for a little while, and that someone happens to be your grown adult child who still hasn't figured out how to be responsible, pause. Take a deep breath and think twice. This is the person I'm talking about. They're in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, and still expect the world to revolve around them. They've bounced from job to job, relationship to relationship. They might have good intentions. And yes, they may have had a tough break or two, but the pattern never changes. They don't take real responsibility, and they rely on you, again, to pick up the pieces. They might say all the right things. Just until I find work again. I just need to save up for a deposit. You won't even notice I'm here. But over time, you do notice. You notice the dishes piling up, the noise creeping in, the way your living room feels more like theirs than yours. You notice how quickly the electricity bill goes up, how the fridge empties faster, and how suddenly your retirement savings seem to shrink because you're covering for someone who should be standing on their own 2 feet. At first, it may seem manageable. You love them. You want to help. You're thinking, they're my child. Of course, I'll support them. But the truth is, it often spirals. And let me tell you, I've seen women lose years of their retirement trying to rescue a child who didn't want to be rescued, only coddled. And that's the dangerous dynamic. One person drains while the other gives. And unfortunately, it's always the mother who ends up drained. Part 2, your home is your haven. After 60, your home should be more than just walls and a roof. It should be your retreat, your sacred space. You've spent decades raising kids, managing households, running errands, working jobs, keeping everything afloat. Now, this chapter of your life, it belongs to you. You deserve to walk into your kitchen and find it just as you left it. You deserve to read your book in silence, to light a candle, sip your tea, and not have to justify why you like your mornings quiet. You deserve to go to bed when you want, wake up without drama, and enjoy the peace you've earned. But when you live with someone who brings chaos, whether it's emotional, financial, or just plain noisy, your home no longer feels like yours. You begin adjusting yourself to their moods, to their needs, to their schedule. And suddenly, you're the one hiding in your bedroom while they take over the living room. You're doing extra laundry, cooking for 2, tolerating clutter, and comments you never signed up for. I've known women who stopped inviting friends over because their adult child was too unpredictable. I've known others who avoided travel because they didn't trust what would happen in the house while they were away. Peace of mind is priceless. You shouldn't be a guest in your own home. You shouldn't feel like a burden in the very space you paid for and built with your own hands. Your home is your haven. It's not a crash pad. It's not a rehab center. It's not a second chance for someone who refuses to take a first step. Part 3, how it hurts your health. This is where it gets serious. And I don't say this to scare you. I say it because I care. Stress is one of the most dangerous things for women over 60. And constant stress caused by living with a toxic or dependent person can have devastating effects on your body and mind. Let's start with the physical side. Chronic stress raises your cortisol levels. That's the hormone your body produces in response to danger. It's helpful in small bursts, but when it's constantly elevated, it leads to high blood pressure, weakened immune function, digestive problems, insomnia, and even heart disease. Do you find yourself clenching your jaw, getting headaches more often, losing sleep, snapping more easily? These are signs your body is telling you, I'm not okay. And it's not just physical. Mentally, it wears you down. You begin to feel resentful, then guilty, then angry at yourself for feeling resentful. It's a vicious cycle. You may even question your own sanity. You think, am I being too harsh? Maybe I'm just getting old and cranky. No, you're not. What you're feeling is valid, because when someone lives in your home and refuses to respect your peace, your routines, your contributions, they're not just affecting your environment. They're harming your health. And sometimes it happens so slowly you don't even realize it. You tell yourself, this is just a phase, or once they get that job, things will improve. But a year passes, then two, and by then you're exhausted and older. And those years, you don't get them back. I had a friend named Linda. At 67, she let her daughter and 2 grandkids move in for 3 months. They stayed for 4 years. By the time they left, Linda had put on weight, developed high blood pressure, and had lost touch with most of her social life. She told me once, through tears, I didn't know how much it was hurting me until they were gone. Don't let it get to that point. Part 4, the guilt trap. Now, let's talk about something that hits every mother and every kind-hearted woman right in the chest: guilt. Oh, how that little emotion can make us do things that are completely against our own well-being. You start thinking, but he's my son. She has no one else. What will people think of me if I say no? And the worst one of all, if I don't help them, I'm a bad mother. Let me stop you right there. You are not a bad mother for protecting your peace. You are not a bad person for saying, enough. And you are not heartless for refusing to let someone use your home as a hiding place from adult responsibility. Guilt is often the weapon of choice for those who want to stay comfortable at your expense. And sadly, it's not always intentional. Some adult children have learned to manipulate your love. Others have never learned how to survive without you. Either way, it's not your job to carry them forever. You raised them. You did your part. Now it's their turn to stand on their own. Let me ask you something. If your friend told you she was living with a grown man who sleeps all day, doesn't contribute financially, and gets defensive when she asks for help, what would you tell her? You'd tell her to set boundaries. You'd tell her to reclaim her peace. So why do you hesitate when it's your life? Guilt is not a reason to suffer. Love can exist with boundaries. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is say, I believe in you, but you're not staying here. Part 5, signs you need to act now. Still unsure if your living situation is hurting more than helping? Let me give you some warning signs. These are red flags I've seen time and time again in women over 60 who regret letting certain people into their homes. You feel drained in your own house. Instead of relaxing at home, you're walking on eggshells. You're tense. You're tired, even when you've done nothing all day. You avoid going home or stay in your room. A woman once told me, I sit in my car for 20 minutes just to mentally prepare before walking inside. That's not normal. That's survival. You feel financially taken advantage of if you're covering all the groceries, utilities, and rent while they sit comfortably with no job. Or worse, spending money on things they shouldn't. That's a major problem. You've stopped doing things you enjoy. Maybe you don't host book club anymore. Maybe you haven't taken a weekend away in years. Maybe your knitting group, walking group, or yoga class feels like a distant memory. Ask yourself, when did that change? You're always making excuses for their behavior. If you find yourself saying things like, they're just going through a hard time, or he's actually a really good person deep down, or she just needs a little longer, then you've fallen into the trap of rationalizing the irrational. Your health has taken a hit. Are you sleeping less? Gaining weight? Losing weight? Getting sick more often? That's your body waving a red flag. If any of these sound familiar, you need to take action, not out of anger, but out of love for yourself. Part 6. What to do instead. So, what can you do if you're already in this situation, or worried it might happen? Here's what I've learned, and what I tell every woman who's gone through this. 1. Have a clear and honest conversation. Sit down, look them in the eye, and say something like, I love you, but this living arrangement isn't working for me. I need my space, my peace, and my routine back. We need to come up with a timeline for you to move out. Is it hard? Yes. Will they guilt you? Maybe. But boundaries are what keep relationships healthy. Resentment builds when we stay silent. 2. Put expectations in writing. If, for whatever reason, they need to stay a little longer, make a written agreement. Rent contribution. Chores. Behavior standards. A move-out deadline. Treat it like a lease, not a favor. Trust me, if someone bristles at the idea of mutual expectations, they were never planning to respect your space to begin with. 3. Reconnect with your goals. What do you want to do with this stage of life? Travel? Learn to paint? Spend more time with friends? This isn't about kicking someone out. It's about reclaiming the future you've worked so hard to create. 4. Seek outside support. Talk to a therapist, counselor, or even a trusted friend. You need people who remind you that your well-being matters. And if finances are involved, consult a financial advisor, especially if someone is draining your savings. 5. Take action without guilt. You can still love someone deeply while removing them from your home. In fact, you might find your relationship improves once you're no longer under the same roof. This is your time, dear. You've earned it. Don't let anyone, no matter how close to you, steal it away.